So Westworld Season 3 Episode 1 Parce Domine has just aired and I had a chance to watch the episode, and in this video I'm going to be giving you my recap, explaining what happened, my opinion on what happened and my overall review of the episode. If you want to see more Westworld reviews, recaps and theory videos as well as breakdowns, then subscribe to the channel, turn on your notifications and give this video a like rating. I'm going to waste no time and get straight into my recap, so without further ado, here it is for Westworld Season 3 Episode 1. Starting off with Dolores, who opens this episode in a calculated manner. We begin with a scene involving a rich businessman that is about to be paid a visit by Westworld's one and only. We see him early on yelling at his staff and wife, which includes a meltdown over his stake at Delos. We see inside his wealthy and high-tech mansion that is ultimately used against him by Dolores. As the episode focuses primarily on the weight that the system creates for people underneath, it's only fitting that the same system is used against him. When Dolores reveals herself to the man, she doesn't kill him, but rather allows him to use the technology in a way that will assist him in taking his own life. This comes through the use of high-tech glasses, which makes him see his own troubled memories. We watch memories of him killing his first wife and then his marriage to a second woman who looked just like her. We see how he was abusive to both of them, but then the moment came that made me think more about the plan of Dolores. We see one of the memories, which includes a moment in which the man abused Dolores in Westworld, in a location that looks identical to the one that the man in black encountered Dolores in the pilot of the show. It's not just a great role reversal on the hosts in Season 1 being traumatized by their given narratives, but one that makes me think that Dolores is going to use their own data against them in a way that isn't as reckless as we once thought. She says that she's done hurting people unless they try to hurt her. I think she may break them apart from the inside, eventually turning the people against those who hold their data. She's allowing the broken part of the species to collapse on itself with the help from the humans that hate the system, but we'll have to see how this develops. The scene ends with Dolores telling the man that she'll spare his life if he transfers over his stake in Insight, while already securing most of his money through her developed hacking skills. As Dolores walks away, the man charges at her and cracks his skull against his open swimming pool. We see that in most of this scene, Dolores was just an illusion. As Dolores leaves, she tells his current wife that she's set her free. She has also got what she wanted, money, and a way into Insight. Now we see that the hosts are the guests, and the guests have become the hosts. As I said in my prediction video, a smart case of role reversal. As we venture deeper into the episode, the next step of Dolores is playing the role of girlfriend. Liam Dempsey Jr., who is the son of one of the deceased owners of Insight, is a really nice guy, but easily used by Dolores. Her plan is still unclear, but it seems to all stem through Insight and breaking them down from the inside. She tries to learn what Liam knows, but he tells her that his father's partner shut him out of the company after his father died. These two are the apparent co-founders of Insight, but then there's the question of a true owner hiding in the shadows. Liam tells Dolores that if he told her who it was, he'd be dead. As she pursues to find out, he almost gives her the name of the mystery owner, but Tommy Flanagan's security character Martin Connells, who may I say was one of the best new characters in this opening episode, storms into the room and incapacitates Dolores. He reveals to Liam that she's been playing him the entire time, and Connells and his men take her to be killed to cover up the whole incident. I now move on to the introduction of another great character, Aaron Paul's Caleb. Caleb has been working jobs that has got him nowhere since he left the military. To support his mother suffering from dementia, he takes on extra work via a crime app, which involves small-time jobs like robbing an ATM or helping subdue a rich man who we see react to taking the wrong kind of drug. May I mention that there's also a lot of close-ups on certain characters in this episode taking drugs in the form of discs. which is a clever motive to store data, but also I think this is where Dolores could shape her plan later on in the season. It was just something that came to my mind as the cinematography kept repeating these close-ups of drugs being taken, and as we know, Westworld gives you all the evidence that you may forget if you're not paying close attention. But back to Caleb, he is obviously haunted from his days as a soldier. His PTSD doesn't help his general sense of not having meaning. The world is only becoming more unfair, with the wealthy richer than ever and the poor still declining. Throughout the episode, Caleb gets calls from an old war companion. He declines the calls on multiple occasions, but we find out at the end of the episode that the calls were from an AI. It's essentially a therapy program. His real friend is dead. We come to his final job where the crime app asks him to deliver a package and a car, and the storylines eventually meet. We find out that the package is being delivered to Martin Connells as Dolores lies cold in one of the new hover cars that stylistically looks incredible. Caleb wants to know what the package is, but once threatened, he walks away. It's revealed to us after a few minutes have passed that Dolores is only acting in this scene until the right moment. Connell's men put shots of some kind of poison into Dolores that obviously doesn't work. As another car appears placed down the street, Martin panics and he sees what's inside. As his men go to check, Dolores jumps into action and wipes out most of them. She chases Connells after dealing with his men, and they share a brief confrontation. He tells her that it's too late, referencing to Liam. But the first step of her plan is revealed as a figure in the self-driving car from earlier in the scene, which pulls up. We see a host version of Connells himself. We can't quite tell if this is a replicated version of Dolores in the host body, but it's revealed that she can now build visual clones disguised as Delos and Insight employees. I wouldn't be surprised if this is Angela or Clementine. She's ticking off all positions of authority. I said in my predictions video that I think Dolores will use data against the powerful, whether that's the data at the end of season 2 or the data we're seeing in the real world. From the opening scene and this one, it's revealed that she is definitely using their own data psychologically and physically. We end this scene as Dolores gets badly injured from some of the remaining men who corner her post this reveal. But then Caleb comes back. He finds her beneath the underpass as we saw in the first trailer, bleeding and almost unconscious. She collapses in his arms, and as a great parallel to William and Dolores in season 1. I think we're now going to see in the next episodes the greater insight that Dolores will gather into the treatment of people like Caleb. It will only widen her perspective. May I say that we also got a teaser for the next few episodes, which goes more into where we could be going here. I will cover this later on in the week leading up to episode 2. We come to the final story of episode 1, which revolves around Bernard, who's been keeping quiet as a meat packer. We see him continuously test himself. He seems to have put together some sort of device which can pause him on and off. He self-interviews and asks if he's done anything without his own knowledge. Given how he's been used frequently in the past and how often his own memories were tampered with, this is a great play by the writers, and one which I'm sure will come in handy later on in season 3. But in this episode it already comes in good use as he's confronted by co-workers who recognise him. He uses this device, pauses and kills both of the men. He does tell himself to be gentle, but this doesn't work. Maybe that's where more testing will come in help. He flees this scene and the episode ends with him in Asia requesting a boat. The boat being one that takes him back to Westworld, which we gather will be to get Maeve out of the park. But there's a lot of mystery surrounding what direction the writers will take with Bernard, so I guess we'll have to see. Now to my quick review and other points about the episode. To start off with, I like the realistic approach of creating a world that portrays the takeover of big corporations like Delos and Insight. They are now literally the leaders of the world. All their data, their power is controlling everyone, and they continuously find ways to keep everyone quiet, as we see with Caleb. I also love the visual aesthetic they are going for in this episode. Everything is sleek, smart but practical, something Jonathan Nolan's brother Christopher likes to employ. Things have a greater purpose than just to look cool. Everything is driverless and operating on its own, showing the impact of AI in this 2058 world. We also have a brief look at Charlotte Hale, who, as expected, is pretending to be the Hale we all know, but she's someone else. If you've seen my theory video, you know that I think she's actually Peter Abernathy, coupled with the guest Data, which is something we didn't get a clear ending on in the season 2 finale. The fact that we opened with Dolores interrogating a businessman who was previously a guest that had visited the park does give weight to my theory that she could still be looking to use the Data in the real world. Maybe building familiar guests we have seen in previous seasons, who knows, but the overwhelming sense of a focus on Data is there, and it's an important thread this season. We also see that Insight operates a supercomputer that handles all of this human data to use against them. A stark comparison to Delos in Westworld that keeps the show grounded in the themes of previous seasons. And finally, we get a post-credit scene which reveals the character missing from this episode, and that is Maeve, and her current residence seems to reside in Warworld. It will be interesting to see how Maeve and Bernard cross paths and what route they will take with Maeve, but I'm sure we'll see all of that in the following episodes. Overall, I'm loving the opening to this season, and although many will say that it's not Westworld anymore, for me it still is. It grounds itself in the plot arcs and narrative themes that we've seen evolve in the past and takes them to new places. It's Westworld but in a new world, and it's not just a case of role reversal, it's a case of going a little deeper, which Westworld as a show always executes to its advantage. I'm giving Westworld Season 3 Episode 1 a rating of 4.5 stars. I thought this episode was a great opening which perfectly summarised its title, Parce Domine. It suggested a god's reign, but one that would eventually be shadowed by a new god, the hosts. What I love about this episode as much as the opening of the first season is that it can act as a self-contained one, but one that also sets up a plethora of questions that if paid off could work extremely well in the show's favour. We'll have to see how it plays out, but I'm incredibly fascinated by where they are going to take the rest of Season 3. So let me know down below what you think of the episode. Tell me if you picked out anything I didn't or any predictions you have going forward. I'm very intrigued to hear them. For reviews and recaps of all the upcoming episodes of Season 3, along with theories and breakdowns of certain topics, as I said at the beginning of this video, subscribe to the channel and turn on your notifications. Also, if you enjoyed the video, give it a like rating. Let me know what you think. I've been Cortex, and as always, make some noise.